Zach in Ontario, Canada asks, Father, what's your take on Medjugorje? So Medjugorje, for those of you who don't know, there's two camps. One of them says, hey, this is for real. There's other camps that say, hey, this is definitely not, and it worse. But Zach is asking, is it fake or is it the real deal? Father, I know the church has an official position on this, but it's sort of debated. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if the church has an official position because they've never really come out and stated whether it's of supernatural origin. And that, with this recent document that came out by the dicastery, they somehow forgot that they are able to have the grace. The church has the grace to tell us whether or not an apparition is supernatural or not just that it is like without error, like a nihil obstat. That is important for the faithful to know if something's supernatural, that is from God. If it's not supernatural, should we be paying attention to it? And I know that there's many graces. People have gone to Medjugorje and received many, graces and conversion. But I'm not so sure if it's because of the messages themselves. And I think this is something that the church ought to really examine. Maybe it was inspired or supernatural to a certain point, but I don't know if it is supernatural for 40 years or whatever it is now we're going on. I just, find it kind of strange that Our Lady has to continue some kind of ongoing dialogue when she usually says what she wants to and it's over. Even at Fatima was 6 months. At Akita, it was over a course of, from 1973 to 1981, but Our Lady only spoke in 1973 to Sister Agnes. The rest were her weeping statue, her bleeding statue, messages that would be given to her by her guardian angel, but it wasn't like an ongoing, discussion or messages. So I wish that the church would take up its duty and truly do what it has the grace to do, which is it has the ability to tell us whether something is supernatural and not just that it's without error, like a nihil obstat. So in one sense, it's kind of the shirking of the church's responsibility in this last document that came out about Marian apparitions. And they should turn it back to the local bishop, which as it was for centuries, for maybe millennia. If the local bishop is the first one to give his approval, then, they talk about subsidiarity and this the whole thing about synodality, we want subsidiarity, but they don't really exercise that. It's all a lot of, ambiguity and nonsense. So the synodality nonsense continues on, and the double standards are always being employed to fit somebody's agenda. But anyway, I get off the topic. But anyway, Medjugorje, I leave it up to somebody who has the ability to make that decision, and for some reason they are not fulfilling their task.
Yeah, I think a lot of the doubts that people would have on this particular apparition is related to the seers. So some controversial things.
A lot of the messages seem to be, and some of the messages don't seem to really fit with Catholic theology. Some of them are rather dubious that Our Lady would say such a thing. So this is where I think, if there was some kind of supernatural event, it may have been only for a brief time, but that's the church who would be going to have to make that decision, and it's not doing it right now. If you were going by the local bishop, and as long as the local bishop was in charge, they never gave any approval to it. And so, it's kind of strange when finally the Vatican took it away, and then they said, we can't make a decision. Someone please pull the trigger,